You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Let's be real. The district-offered PD is not exactly what you need. You love your job, but you have a huge caseload, and you need applicable counseling strategies that you can use right away. That's why I'm starting my brand new training series called Coffee with the Counselor. Each month, I'll be delivering counselor-specific PD that you need most for the price of your daily Starbucks run. That's right, for just $10, you can show up to one of these live, engaging trainings. You'll get an included resource and a PD certificate of attendance as well. Each month, I'll cover a different topic, and January's topic is 7 ways to elevate your small groups. Guys, you don't want to miss this. I really hope you'll join me. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/coffee to save your seat. Also, if you're an Impact member, you get to attend all of these trainings for absolutely free. See y'all there. Raise your hand if you're ready to finally stop taking work home with you and actually start taking a lunch break. Or spend more time helping students, the reason you got into this profession, and less time doing stuff like bus duty. And if you're ready to finally use data to showcase the importance of your program and the progress your students have made. If any of those things sound like you, then I have got the ultimate solution for you, and that is my stress-free school counseling course. Now you may be thinking, wait, you've talked about this before. I have. So my stress-free school counseling course used to only be launched a few times a year, but now it is available all year long. And it is at a discounted price. This is perfect if you're the counselor who wants to work through it at your own pace. If instead of going through with a cohort and doing things together, you want to get to it when you can because you have a busy schedule. But first, let's see if you're even the right fit. Does this sound like you? You're a new counselor who wants to get started on the right track and not make mistakes and then redo things later. Or maybe you're a veteran counselor and you're feeling burnt out. Or maybe you're just a counselor who feels overwhelmed and stretched too thin. It's so hard to do all the things at once. Or maybe you're a counselor determined to change your program from reactive to proactive. Well, you're in the right place. Stress-Free School Counseling is totally for you. It's a 5-module digital course. So what that means is you get to watch video modules of me talking to you, just like I do here on the podcast, and teaching you in different areas like scheduling, organization, data collection, advocating for your role, and handling pushback. If this sounds like something you may be interested in, if you're a lifelong learner and can't wait to improve your counseling program, you're going to love this. And of course, it's stress-free. Head over to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/enroll to get started today. Psst, come over here. I've got extra special news. We just added Stress-Free School Counseling to the Impact annual membership. If you join Impact, my membership for school counselors, at the annual rate, you will get the Stress-Free School Counseling course I was just talking about, included for absolutely free. Hurry, this is a super new thing we just added, and I'm so excited about it. Okay, let's check out today's episode. Hey there, thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So before you start today's episode, if you didn't listen to last week, hop back there because these really are intended to be listened to in chronological order because I'm talking about productivity practices, one of my favorite topics to chat about, especially during January. And last week I talked all about doing a time audit, which is kind of the first step to designing your day before batching. So today's episode, I'm going to talk to you all about batching. But again, I really encourage you to do your time audit before you listen to this episode. Also, you might be thinking, productivity practices, a yawn, what a bore. But the reason I'm so passionate about productivity practices for school counselors is because I know that the more systems you have in place to take care of those things that may be difficult or that you don't love doing but need to get done, the more time and headspace you have to serve your kiddos. That's why we're school counselors, right? We want to help our students. We want to spend time in direct student services with them. But unfortunately, there's a lot of paperwork and back-end stuff that has to get done too. So I love helping counselors figure out how to simplify that stuff so they can spend more time doing what they love, which is serving students. Okay, so let's dive in. My productivity practice for you today is batching. So you may be thinking, batching, like batching cookies? And yes, kind of. Batching is when you group similar tasks together to increase your efficiency. So I'll give you a few examples here, but for example, like my podcast, sometimes I will batch my podcast episodes. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to do, a little series on productivity practices. I'll sit down and record them all at one time because I'm kind of in the flow. I'm in that mindset. I'm already talking about productivity practices. So it makes sense for me to do those at the same time. I don't know the actual stats on it, but they say, your brain, it takes like 15 seconds or something to switch between tasks. Basically, you're losing precious seconds and minutes anytime you're switching tasks, and the mental tax that has as well. It's so hard for me sometimes if I'm working and then to switch to doing like a mom task, or if I'm, focusing on one thing and then someone calls my attention to something else. You're like, wait, I gotta stop doing this, start doing this, switch my mindset. It's some effort. So once you're already in the flow of doing one type of task, it just makes sense to do similar type tasks while you're already in that headspace. So let me give you an example in terms of counseling. One way I encourage school counselors to batch is by batching communication. Now, when I say communication, I'm referring to emails, phone calls, and possibly even in-person meetings. Now, these are must-dos that you have to do as a counselor, but don't feel like they have to dominate your schedule and leave you feeling like your brain has way too many tabs open, if you know what I mean. Because sometimes these things can be really overwhelming. You're like, I have an inbox full, I'm getting parent phone calls, I have all these meetings I have to go to. And again, all you want to do is like lead small groups and teach class lessons. So I know how that feels, and that's why I'm here to help you batch your communication. Now, like I was saying, last week we talked about the time audit. So when you were doing your time audit, you may have noticed that some tasks you were going to do over and over again, right? Like checking your email. Maybe you're like, I checked it in the morning, and then I checked it like 3 times throughout the day. I checked it at lunch, and I checked it before I went home. Maybe I even checked it at home on my phone. But instead of going to your inbox multiple times a day, you could batch your email. So that is one example of something you could batch in terms of communication. You could batch your email by only sending and responding to emails at designated times in the day. So what that looks like is saying, okay, I have an email set time, right? So I'm not going to keep my email tab open all day. I'm only going to check it 2 times a day. Maybe I'm going to check it in the morning, and then I'm going to check it before I leave school. You're going to disable notifications, and you're going to not check it on evenings or weekends, which I know can seem kind of crazy to those of you who are kind of addicted to your inbox, but it's almost like that social media refresh, guys. It's literally an algorithm designed to please that part of your mind for that like instant reward, like the slot machine part of your brain. And so it's like a dopamine hit. It really is. So I encourage you to have a system in place. Open your inbox when you get to school to check out what needs to be done, make a to-do list accordingly, respond to anything that needs to be responded to, and then don't open it again until the end of the day. Now, anyone who responded to anything you sent out that morning, then that's what you'll do in the second half of the day. The second time you check your email, you can say, okay, now they responded to that. I have to get back to them this way. Now, you don't want to look like you are unavailable, right? Because you don't want to be unresponsive or rude by not immediately returning emails, especially if this is your typical response time. If people typically email you and you respond immediately, that expectation has been set. So you want to be clear about this new boundary. So you want to be clear with parents, you want to be clear with your colleagues, and you want to communicate this clearly. That way no one feels like, oh gosh, she just kind of, is being unresponsive all of a sudden. She's being flaky. So instead, you can have an automated system there, an automated email reply that says, hi, I'm busy helping our students. I love my job. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but something similar to that. And say, I'll be answering and responding to emails during these times. If it's urgent, give them a backup plan if they really need to get in touch with you. If it's urgent, you can call the office at this number. But this is a great way to get out of your inbox throughout the day. And it's really liberating. I think you guys are going to love doing this. Now, something else you can do is batch phone calls. Maybe you have parents calling all day and then you're like, you want to listen to them. You're here to help their student and support them, or their child and support them. So you're on the phone with them for like 20 minutes and it's like taking away from other parts of your job. Instead, schedule a designated time. So block out a time in your schedule for phone calls and be like, this is when I'm going to, call back anyone who's left a message. This is when I'm going to make any parent phone calls that I need to make during this time. Now, again, you want to appear responsive, so create a voicemail triage system. have it go to a voicemail if you're not there and say, hey, Rachel's unavailable right now serving students. You can, if it's an emergency, call the front office or, give them some next steps. Call back at this designated time or leave a message. And again, communicating your availability is so important because it's allowing you to, say, like you could even include this on like parent permission slips. Like you can reach me via email or phone call on these times, things like that. I know my counselor friend was at 2 different school sites. So she had on her parent letters, and on her email signature, where she was on which day. So that way, if they called and she wasn't there, they're like, oh, she's at the other school. She's not just being unresponsive. Email signature is a great place to include this. Like, I'll be returning emails in these times. Or on your voicemail, if it's referring to phone calls, I'll be returning phone calls at this time. It's going to take people some getting used to. You're kind of like training these people, training your colleagues and training the parents on your response time. But as long as you're setting up those clear guidelines, I think everyone will really understand. No one really expects you to get back to an email immediately. Now, in-person meetings, you could do this as well. This one's a little trickier because you're not always in charge of scheduling your in-person meetings. Like if you have to go to a SST meeting or something, or a staff meeting. But there are meetings that you do schedule with parents and with teachers. So what I would do is you could have like a meeting day, like every Friday morning, you always do your meetings then, or you could have a meeting block of time, like 3 o'clock is when I always do my parent meetings. That way, and of course there's going to be exceptions. Parents may have a demanding work schedule and you may need to be flexible for them or so on. But by having like designated times for things, I think you're going to find it very freeing in the sense that your headspace is where it needs to be. So you're not switching from like teaching a lesson to a small group, to a parent meeting, to a phone call, to writing an email. Instead, you're like fully in what you're doing and you're present and you're delivering your best counseling because you're in that present moment. So I hope you find batching as fun and helpful as I do. And if you're someone who loves checking off a to-do list, you're going to love this because it's like, wow, I did 4 things. Because you can do this with lesson planning too. Like I was talking about the podcast example earlier. You can say like, I'm going to plan out all of my class lessons for February right now. And that's so liberating, like to sit down and be like, check, check, check. They're all done. Now I don't have to plan another class lesson until March. So anyways, I hope you find this as helpful as I do. Like I said, this is kind of a sneak peek. I love productivity. This is just a tiny lesson within Module 1 within my 5-module stress-free school counseling course. This is the course I've created to enhance your productivity so you can increase your impact by seeing more students and get the recognition you deserve by advocating for your position. If you're looking to reach more kids, if you're looking to advocate for your role, if you're looking to get more organized, you're going to love Stress-Free School Counseling. The course is available all the time. You can go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com. But a new promo thing we're doing is it's now available if you join Impact at the annual membership. You get it for free included. So it's a great companion to your Impact membership. Remember, Impact's my membership for school counselors where they get all of my resources and our community and our coaching calls. It's amazing. But also, if you join at the monthly rate, it's not included. But if you do the annual, you get stress-free school counseling for free. So that's a fun perk we just added, and I think you guys are going to love it. Okie dokie. I hope y'all have an awesome week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Oh, and I almost forgot, tonight is the night. It is time for my first Coffee with the Counselor training. I'm so excited for this. You probably heard me talk about it. I am just super excited. It's a brand new thing we're doing. January is the first one. Tonight's topic is 7 ways to elevate your small groups. It is not too late to sign up. I really hope I will see you there. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/coffee to save your seat. I'm calling it that because for the price of a coffee out, you can just have your coffee at home and learn something with me. So I really hope I'll see you there. And my Impact members, it's just a reminder for you guys to show up. It's already included in your membership. Okay, see you guys tonight. Bye.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.